Good morning. Today will be I am myself N. Anandaramajan, Assistant Professor in the Department of Anatomy, Sri Lakshminarayana Institute of Medical Sciences. So today we'll be seeing the classes on thorax. Okay. So before going to the thorax, you have a small introduction about what is thorax. So in the thorax is a region in our body where you will be able to have important function, especially the respiration and the heart is been present inside the thorax. So we will go into the slide. Okay. Okay. So good morning. So I myself and another Jain, Assistant Professor, Department of Anatomy, Sri Lakshminarayana Institute of Medical Sciences, Pondicherry. So introduction to thorax. Okay. This is the class we are going to see today, and then we will be seeing the intercostal spaces. Okay. So as you see the boundaries of thorax, what are the structures that are going to form the boundaries of the thorax? So anteriorly you will be able to have the sternum, posteriorly you will be able to have the vertebra. Okay, on the lateral aspect you will be able to get the ribs. Okay, so these ribs are been once again classified into atypical and typical, and the vertebrae are also once again classified into a typical rib, typical vertebra, and a atypical vertebra. Okay, so these ribs are being connected towards the sternum by a costal cartilage. So costal cartilage is nothing but a white fibrocartilage. Okay, so coming towards the boundaries, so in the surrounding boundary, so anteriorly it is formed by the sternum, posteriorly it is formed by the vertebra, and laterally it is formed by your ribs and intercostal cartilage. Okay, coming towards the inlet and outlet of the thorax. So what are the structures that are going to form the inlet of the thorax, and what are the structures that are going to form the outlet of the thorax? So as you see the inlet of the thorax, so it is being formed by the inner border of the first rib. Okay, it is been formed by the inner border of the first rib, and posteriorly it is formed by the body of the first rib. Okay, for the body of the first vertebra. Okay, anteriorly it is formed by the posterior aspect of your manubrium sternum. Okay, manubrium sternum and jugular knots. So these are the structures that are going to form the inlet of the thorax. So why it is called as inlet? So some number of structure they are going to enter into the thorax. So for example, you would be able to have the esophagus, which is being from the pharynx, it is continuing down into the thorax. As like that, you would be able to have here veins that are going to entering into your thorax, and you would be able to have the cranial nerves, and then you would be able to have your sympathetic chain. So all these structures are going to enter into the thorax. So like that, when you have an inlet, you should also have an outlet. So below you will be able to get the outlet of the thorax. So what are the structures that are going to form the outlet of the thorax? So you will be able to get your 12th thoracic vertebra, and then you will be able to get your floating ribs, that is your 12 and 11th floating ribs, 12, 11 and 10th floating ribs. Then you will be able to get your 9th ribs and the costal cartilage. So these are the structures that are going to form your uh, outlet of the thorax. Okay, and anteriorly it is being formed by your xiphoid process. Okay, so this is the inlet and outlet of the thorax. So as you see the outlet, what are the structures that are going to pass out of the thorax? So you will be able to get the esophagus that is going to pass out. Next, you will be able to get your aorta, that is a thoracic aorta is going to continue down into your abdomen as your abdominal part of aorta. Then you will be able to get your nerves, important nerves that are going to pass from the head and neck, thorax, and it is going to pass into your abdomen. Okay, and your cranial nerve, vagus nerve. So all these structure are going to pass out of the thoracic inlet. So only it is called as outlet of the thorax. So these are the structure that are going to enter and leave the outlet of the thorax. So you will be able to get your aorta, esophagus. So these are structure that are going to enter into the abdomen from the thorax, and you would be able to get your inferior vena cava that is going to pass into the thorax. Okay, inferior vena cava, it is going to pass into the thorax. So as you see, this is being separated. The thorax is being separated from the abdomen by your diaphragm. Okay, so in the diaphragm you will be able to get your openings through these larger openings. So through this larger opening only you are going to have the passage of this structure, that is your aorta, esophagus and inferior vena cava. Okay, so this is the outlet. This is to show you once again the outlet of the thorax. So here you will be able to get your ribs, that is your 11 and 10th, 12 and 11th ribs. And then in the posterior aspect, you will be able to get your body of your 12th thoracic vertebra. Then you will be able to get your 11 and 12th ribs. Then you will be able to get the 10th ribs. So these are going to join together with the costal cartilage, and it is going to form your xiphoid process. Okay. So this is the outlet of the thorax. Okay. So as you see, the thoracic cage, it is being formed by a 12 pairs of ribs. Okay, it is been formed by the 12 pairs of ribs, and it is being connected. All the ribs are being connected towards your sternum by your costal cartilage. So this costal cartilage allows some amount of movement. Okay, it also helps in the movement. So what type of movement? So it helps in the respiratory movement. Okay, slight amount of respiratory movement. So this movement is possible because of the presence of the cartilage, costal cartilage. If it is a bony part, the ribs cannot be moving because it is been ossified with one another. So because of this reason only, the anterior aspect is being presented with the cartilage, and posterior it is being connected with the vertebra. Okay, so it is a so in this way it is being articulated with one another. So this is the 12 vertebrae you will be able to have. So these 12 vertebrae are being once again divided into typical and atypical vertebrae also. Okay, so here you will be able to get the ribs. So what are the parts of ribs are? You will be able to get a head, neck, tubercle, angle, and a body. So these are the parts of a rib. So how does these ribs are being articulated? So here you will be able to in the body of the vertebra, you will be able to have articular facet, so superior and inferior articular facet, and a costal facet in the transverse process. So the ribs gets articulated in this area, that is your superior and inferior costal facet, and then in the costal facet present in the transverse process. So like this it is being attached. So what are the important organs that are being present inside the thoracic cage? So as you see the thoracic cage, it has been nicely protected. Okay, it has been nicely protected by bones. So what are the important organs? So all these organs are very important. They are vital organs. If they are going to fail the human body, we are going to be dead. Okay, so what are the vital organs present inside the thoracic cage? So first thing you'll be able to have your lung. Next thing you'll be able to have your heart. Okay, apart from that you have greater vessels that are going to enter and leave the heart. Okay, and then you will be able to have some spaces which are being present inside the heart. Okay, so these are the important organs. So next you will be able to get what are the other structures. You'll be able to get your largest venous channel, that is your azygos system of veins. Next you will be able to have largest lymphatic channel, that is your uh, thoracic duct system. Okay, so these are the other things that are being present inside your thoracic cage. So this lung is being covered by an covering called as pleura. Okay, so this also helps in the protecting the lung. Okay, so this is the so in the posterior aspect, you will be able to have your relation of your kidney, but actually the kidney is an abdominal organ. Okay, but still the relation is present in the kidney also. The posterior surface of the kidney is being related to your rib cage. Okay. So what are the structures that are going to enter? Important structures. So you'll be able to get your trachea. First thing is your trachea. Next, you'll be able to get your esophagus. Okay. Behind that, you'll be able to have vertebra. So inside the vertebral canal, you are going to have your spinal cord. So through the spinal cord, you are going to have your trunks of your brachial plexus that is going to supply your upper limb. Okay. Next, you will be able to have what are the other structure. So you will be able to have your arch of aorta, which is going to give branches. So you'll be able to have your right and left subclavian artery and right and left your carotid artery, common carotid artery. So like that, you will be able to have your venous channel also. Okay, so these are the important structures will be present in the inlet of your thorax. Okay, along with that, you will be able to get your sympathetic chain, which is going to pass into your thorax. So here you will be able to get the arch of aorta. So this is your arch of aorta. Then you will be able to get your descending thoracic aorta. Then here you will be able to get the branches. So you will be able to get the subclavian artery. Next you will be able to get your brachiocephalic trunk. Next you will be able to get your left common carotid and a left subclavian artery. So these arteries, that is your left and right subclavian artery, they also give branches. Okay, so from the first part of the subclavian artery, you will be able to get your internal thoracic artery. Okay, you will be able to get the internal thoracic artery, which is going to give branches to your intercostal spaces. And behind, you will be able to get the posterior thoracic artery, which is going to give branches in the posterior aspect. Okay, so like this, you will be able to have connections, okay, which is going to get anastomosis in the intercostal spaces. What are the functions of thorax? So first thing, it helps in the protection, as we have early seen. What are the function means? It helps in the protection of your vital organs, especially your lung and the heart. Okay, heart is an important organ which is going to pump blood towards your all part of your body. So especially to your head and neck, and then towards your lower limb. If the heart fails, the person is dead. Like that, if your lung is going to fail, then the person is also dead. Okay, so these two vital organs are being protected by your thoracic cage. Okay, next is your respiration. So important function of the lung is your respiration. So this has been mainly allowed by your rib cage. Movement of the rib cage helps in the respiration of air. So this is the thing. So next important event is your sternal angle. So what is meant by sternal angle? At the level of the second rib, you will be able to have the sternal angle. So this is the location of your sternal angle. So you'll be able to get the body of the sternum and manubrium sternum joins together at this point. Okay, at the level of the second rib. And what is the other important event taking place? So here you will be able to get the discontinuation of your dermatomes. So dermatome is nothing but your cutaneous nerve supply. Okay, so they are nothing but the direct branch from the spinal cord. So but here you will be able to have discontinuation. That is your C5 to T1 segment of the dermatome is missing. Why? Because it is going to supply your upper limb. So this, because of this reason only, you have the missing of your dermatomes. Okay. Next, forward and backward movement at the sternocleidomastoid joint during the respiration. So this we have discussed already. So the ribs are being articulated in the posterior aspect. Okay, it has been articulated in the posterior aspect by the vertebrae, and then it is going to be connected in the anterior aspect by the costal cartilage. So this helps in the movement of your thoracic cage. Okay, anterior and posterior movement. Okay, and it also helps in the upward and lower movement are done by the diaphragm and the intercostal muscle. So this movement is being done by your thoracic cage. So next is your division and this division of superior and inferior mediastinum. So this is another important thing. So this sternal angle is going to divide the mediastinum into superior and inferior mediastinum. Okay, so here you will be able to get the dermatome. Okay, C4 to T1. So why? Because the remaining dermatome goes into your upper limb. Okay, so this is another important thing. Next, in the next diagram, you will be able to get the division of your mediastinum. So you'll be able to get the superior mediastinum and inferior mediastinum. So this division is also going to take place at your sternal angle. So another thing is your bifurcation of the trachea. So at the level of the sternal angle only, it is going to divide into two. One is the right and left bronchopulmonary segment. Okay, next you'll be able to get the commencement and termination of arch of aorta. The arch of aorta starts at the sternal angle and ends at the sternal angle. Okay, next you'll be able to get the attachment of the sternopericardial ligament. So what is the sternopericardial ligament? Inside the sternum, you are going to have the heart. So this is being covered by a membrane called as the pericardium. Okay, so this is been attached into the posterior aspect of the sternum by the sternopericardial ligament. Okay, so this is also getting attached at the level of the sternal angle. Okay, so this is another important thing. So the superior vena cava enters into the pericardium. The superior vena cava is going to enter into the pericardium. So this is all. This event is also going to take place at the sternal angle. Okay, and then the thoracic duct. The thoracic duct deviates from the right side towards the left side. Okay, so the thoracic duct is the largest lymphatic channel present in the body. So this is going to deviate from the right to left side at the sternal angle. Then you'll be able to get the anterior margin of the both lung lies near your sternal angle. Okay, anterior margin of the right lung and the left lung are lying near your closer in the sternal angle. So this is the arch of Ascicus. So this is also another important thing which is going to communicate or it is going to drain into the superior vena cava at the level of sternal angle. So you'll be able to get the bifurcation of your, so you'll be able to get the bifurcation of your trachea, and then you'll be able to get the entering of your esophagus, your superior vena cava into the pericardium. So here you'll be, so this is your sternal angle. So this part. So opposite to this, all the events are going to take place. So this is a arch of aorta, which is going to start and end at this region. Okay, so this is a arch of aorta, which starts at the level of the sternal angle and terminates at the level of the sternal angle. Okay, and this is your thoracic duct, which moves from the right towards the left side at the level of sternal angle. So why I am telling all these things? Because sternal angle is a short note for you. Okay, it will be asked for your exam, and sometimes it may be asked in the spotter also, and it may be asked in the discussion also. So these are the areas where you will be coming across these questions. Okay, sternal angles, importance of sternal angle. What are the events that are going to take place in the sternal angle? Next, so with this introduction, we will be entering into the intermuscular spaces. Okay, as you see the intermuscular spaces. As you see the intermuscular spaces, so this is nothing but the space between two ribs. Okay, between two ribs. So this is the intercostal space. So what are the structures present in the intercostal space? So you will be able to have the muscles which are being present. So you'll be able to have your external intercostal, internal intercostal, and innermost intercostal. Next, you'll be able to get the vessels present in the intercostal space. So what are the vessels you'll be able to get is, so you'll be able to get the internal intercostal vein, internal intercostal artery, and internal intercostal nerve. So you'll be able to have vein structures, vein, artery, and nerve. Okay, you'll be able to have vein structures, vein, artery, and so all these structures are going to form your content of your intercostal space, and they are arranged from superior to inferior aspect in the order of vein, artery, and nerve. So coming towards the spaces, so it is being once again divided into a typical intercostal space and atypical intercostal space. So what is meant by a typical intercostal space? So typical intercostal space are similar. They look similar. They have the same features. So only it is called as typical. Atypical means they might be differ from some common features what the others don't have. Okay, so in this way they are atypical. So they might be differ from the typical ones in any one of the way. So only it is called as atypical. So what are the atypical spaces? So you will be able to have 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. So these are called as atypical intercostal spaces. What are typical intercostal spaces? So you'll be able to have 3, 4, 5, 6. So these are the typical intercostal spaces. Boundaries and content. What are the boundaries and content of these typical intercostal spaces? So you will be able to have, so in the anterior aspect, it is being formed by your sternum. The posterior aspect, it is being formed by your vertebra. Okay, superiorly it is formed by above rib, and inferiorly it is formed by below ribs. Okay, so these are the boundaries. So in the anterior aspect, you will be able to get your sternum. Posterior aspect, you will be able to have your vertebra. So what are the important muscles you will be coming across in the in these spaces. So you will be able to have external intercostal, internal intercostal, then intermost intercostal. Okay, so this is how it has been divided. So external intercostal, internal intercostal, and intermost intercostal. External intercostal. So you'll be able to have two parts. One is the internal osseous. So this part is the posterior part. Okay, it is fleshy in appearance. Next, you'll be able to have intercartilaginous. So this part is the anterior part. So it is covered by a anterior intercostal membrane. So interosseous is the fleshy part. It is being formed by the skeletal muscle, whereas the intercostal cartilage, the anterior part, it has been covered by the costal membrane. Attachment, as you see, it has been attached in the lower border of the upper rib and inserted into the outer border of the upper lips of lower lip. So this is the attachment. So above muscle, it has been attached towards the lower border of the upper rib and inserted into the outer border of the upper border of the lower lip. So direction of the fiber, so it is going to direction in the downwards, forwards, and medially. So this is the direction of the fiber, downwards, forwards, and medially. So this is the direction. The first muscle, what you are seeing this is the external intercostal. So it runs, it is getting attached from the lower border of the upper lip and inserted into the upper border of the lower lip. And the direction of the fibers are downwards, forwards, and medially. Internal intercostal muscles. So this muscle, as you see, it is a interosseous. The posterior forms the membrane. Interosseous part, it is going to form the posterior intercostal membrane. That is the cartilaginous part, that is the anterior part. So that is going to be fleshy. So what is the attachment of this muscle? So it is going to get attached from the costal groove of the upper rib and inserted into the intermediate part of the upper border of lower lip. Okay, costal groove of the upper rib and inserted into the intermediate part of the upper border of lower lip. Direction of the fiber is it runs downwards, backwards, and laterally. Okay, it runs downwards, backwards, and laterally. So next muscle you will be able to get the internal intercostal. So it runs downwards, backwards, and medially. So intercostalis intimus. So this muscle is being once again, this is the innermost muscle, and it is being divided into another two subgroup of muscles. So here you will be able to get the innermost intercostal muscles. Okay. So these muscles are once again divided into transverse thoracic muscle, subcostal muscles, sternocostal muscles. Okay. So these are the other muscles that have been a part of the intercostal muscles. So what is neurovascular plane? Okay, so here you would be able to get the neurovascular plane. So the muscles, as you see, the first one you will be able to get the transverse costal muscle. So this is seen here. Okay, this is the transverse costal muscles. Okay, they are 3 to 4 in number, which is going to take origin from the ribs, and they are going to get inserted into the posterior aspect of the body of the sternum and xiphoid process. Okay. Next, you will be able to get the subcostalis. So this is the subcostalis, which takes origin from the above rib and it gives a space and it is going to get inserted into the below rib. So this is the subcostalis. Okay. So next, you will be able to get the neurovascular plane. So what is meant by neurovascular plane? So the name itself gives the meaning. So it consists of the nerve and the vascular thing. So in between a muscle, you are going to have a structure, passage of this structure. So only it is called as neurovascular plane. So what is the nerve supply? So you'll be able to get the intercostal nerves. So what is the direction of this muscle? So you'll be able to get the passage of the, it is been running downwards, backwards, and laterally. Okay. So in between the internal intercostal and innermost intercostal, so you'll be able to get the neurovascular plane. So you'll be able to have 3 layer: external intercostal, internal intercostal, and innermost intercostal. So you have the neurovascular plane in between the second and the third layer. That is your innermost intercostal and intercostalis intimus. So this is your transverse thoracic. So this helps in the action of respiration and blowing out. So when you are going to have blow some trumpet, So at that time, it is helpful for you. Next, you would be able to get the internal thoracic artery. So this internal thoracic artery is nothing but the first part of it is a branch from the first part of the subclavian artery. So as it runs, it is going to run in the posterior aspect of the costal cartilage. Okay, it is going to run in the posterior aspect of the costal cartilage. As it runs, it is going to divide into two. One is your epigastric artery. One is the superficial epigastric artery, and another one is your musculophrenic artery and the vein. Okay, so this is the another structure that is going to, so this is how the internal thoracic artery is going to divide. So as it passes, it is also going to give branches towards your intercostal spaces. Okay, it is also going branches to the intercostal spaces. Okay, so this is the intercostal artery. Okay, so which is going to divide into two. One is the superficial epigastric and musculophrenic. Next is a posterior intercostal artery. The posterior intercostal artery is a direct branch from the abdominal aorta, thoracic aorta. As you see, the righter artery, righter branches are lengthier compared to that of the lefter branches. This is why, because they have been the branches from the abdominal thoracic aorta, which is slightly away from the median plane. So the aorta is being present in the left plane. So because of this, the right branches are lengthier compared to that of the left branch. And the first two arteries, they are being directly branches from the branches of subclavian artery. Okay. Next, you'll be able to get the veins. Okay, so you'll be able to get the intercostal veins. So it has been formed by your two veins, that is your musculophrenic vein and superficial epigastric veins, joins together to form your anterior intercostal vein. It runs along the course of the intercostal artery, anterior intercostal artery, and then it is going to drain into your subclavian vein. Posterior intercostal vein. So here you are not going to have a separate channel for the drainage of the venous channel. Okay, so all the veins are being drained into the azygos system of veins. So this azygos system of veins is the vein that is going to drain your thoracic region. So here we'll be able to get the posterior intercostal vein, which has been drained into the azygos system of veins. So this azygos system of veins has been once again divided into azygos, semi-azygos system of veins. Okay, accessory hemiazygos and hemiazygos system of veins. So this azygos system of veins is a communication between the superior vena cava and inferior vena cava. So next we are going to see about the intercostal nerves. So you'll be able to have the intercostal nerve, the same nerves, what we have seen the spaces, the same thing you'll be able to get the same number here also. So the typical intercostal nerves are 3, 4, 5, 6. Atypical intercostal nerves are 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so these are the atypical intercostal spaces. Okay, so when you see the typical intercostal nerve, so it arises from the ventral and dorsal nerve roots, then it is going to join. Okay, then it is going to form the rami, and then it is going to run in between the internal and innermost intercostal. So in the lateral aspect, it is going to give the lateral cutaneous branch, which is going to divide into anterior and posterior branch. Then this nerve is going to run in the anterior aspect, so which is been once again dividing, it is going to supply cutaneous nerve supply, and it is been once again dividing into medial and lateral branches. So you have two cutaneous nerve, one is the anterior cutaneous nerve and lateral cutaneous nerve, and another one is the posterior aspect, that is your posterior cutaneous nerve. So the posterior and anterior gives branches like lateral and medial branches, whereas the lateral cutaneous nerve gives branches of anterior and posterior branches. So what are the other branches it is going to give is, one is the ganglionic branches, collateral branches, and lateral cutaneous branches. And what are the atypical nerves? One, why they are called as atypical? The first nerve is going to supply your brachial plexus, so it doesn't comes under atypical classification. Second one, it is going to supply the heart, so it is a intercostal brachial nerve. It is going to supply the medial aspect of the arm as well as the heart and the thoracic, so it doesn't come under the typical. And the last one is the 11 to 7 to 11. These are going to enter into the abdomen. So they, even though they are thoracic nerves, they are going to supply the abdominal part. So they also are becoming as atypical nerves. Okay. So coming towards the applied anatomy. So what are the important applied anatomy? So intercostal neuralgia, this is nothing but the segmental innervation, infection in the segmental innervation. Segmental, that is your dermatome, when it gets inflamed, so then it will be able to have the intercostal neuralgia. Next, you will be able to have the fracture of your ribs. Okay, so when the ribs get fractured, it is going to damage your pleura, which is going to damage your lung. Okay, next you'll be able to get the dislocation of your ribs. Okay, dislocation, how the ribs are going to get dislocated. Next you'll be able to get the separation of the lips. Okay, separation means it may be uh, broken. Okay, next you'll be able to get the supernumerous rib. When you have any additional ribs apart from this 12 ribs, so then it is called as supernumerous rib. So this is your intercostal removal of your uh, fluid. Okay, that is your pleural fluid. Okay, so how it is being removed? So here you have to insert the needle in between the places. You should not insert the needle above or immediately below the ribs. Okay, why? Because your intercostal nerves will be damaged. Okay, so with this, we are concluding the classes. Okay, if you have any doubt, you can ask me. This is an important short note. The typical intercostal nerve is an important short note. Then you will be able to have your external intercostal muscle. So this is another important short note for you. And you will be able to get the neurovascular plane, which passes between the second and third layer of the intercostal muscle. So this is mainly, this is another important thing. It's an MCQ for you. Okay, it is an MCQ. So with this, I am concluding the class. If you have any doubt, I will give you some 2 minutes. You can ask me. So I hope that you have understood the class. Okay, now I am ending the session. Thank you for patiently listening. Thank you very much.